So, with the spirits of the upper deck of the Orpheus exorcised, it's now time to use our newfound key and see what the lower decks hold in store for us. And indeed, it does look like there are quite a few avenues for us to explore, but first thing is first, we need to deal with this darkness because we still have not eluded that little girl ghost yet. So let's just hop into this nearby room, where we find another spirit that it looks like we might be able to help out with, but still no light switches nearby. But I think we should still be fine in here, and we can find out what this ghost needs.
Sir, this is a very formal party. Please dress accordingly. Sir William is a most strict person when it comes to etiquette. Please leave.
I guess our rubber gloves just aren't up to snuff for Master William, but maybe we can still sneak by.
No, you mustn't. I have strict orders from Master William. No, Master William.
Alright, well, it seems the steward here is probably under a lot of stress from Master William, so we'll leave him be and see if we can't manage to find that light switch. It's got to be somewhere nearby. And indeed it is. It's actually right by the door here, but well, there are a number of switches. There's thankfully no puzzle regarding this. I think you just end up having to press all three of them, even though just pressing 2 seems to turn on the lights. But we might as well go ahead and press all 3, just to cover our bases. And now I think we should be pretty safe to explore, at least the general area here, though, well, I don't want to head down to the lower areas just yet. At least not until we explore what we can on this level. And we also have another sun relief in case we want to go trade a few more of our astral pieces with that cryptic gentleman in the observatory. But for right now, I think it is time to start solving some puzzles. Right off the bat, we see what appears to be possibly an injured spirit here on the ground. Or maybe it's something else.
Who are you? Everyone died. Even that fool Ed. He became crazy after he went into that far room. The 3 of us locked him in, behind the shelf. He was my friend. Ed, I'd like to taste that drink of his again.
So we get a bit of a dark tale from this inebriated spirit here about having to lock his friend Ed in a nearby room.
That damn sailor, he locked the door. I don't care though. I probably would have done the same too.
And in addition to all that, we find a possible way that we might be able to set this soul free, namely the use of this nearby cup, and by maybe figuring out just what type of drink he's in the mood for. For now, though, I think we'll start just going process of elimination here and trying each door in the hallway. So the first room we managed to stumble into looks something akin to a lounge type area. It's got a few odds and ends furniture-wise, such as this very ornate looking wooden chest. But sadly, there is nothing of interest in the drawers of the wooden chest, or for most of the room in general, except for this nearby bookcase. Yeah, it holds 4 toy sailors, each holding a set of flags in the position of the semaphore alphabet. And each one of the sailors has a small indention in their chest. Yeah, if you recall, the inebriated ghost outside said that they ended up having to lock their friend away behind a shelf, and that the person that ended up locking the door away was a sailor. But for right now, we don't really have a means to solve that puzzle just yet, so I guess we'll check out another room. And this room might be a little bit more fruitful for our exploration, as I think this is a bar, and that spirit outside was looking for us to make him a drink. So we might be able to head behind the bar and figure out some way to mix him up something, but this bar has some very, very peculiar art, I guess would be the best way to describe it. Wouldn't really consider a monster barbarian motif to be something aboard the Orpheus, but, well, you just never know. Still, though, as we start to explore the cabinets here, we find that the paintings on the wall might not be such a bizarre motif, as it appears even the alcohol content in this place seems to have a similar theme going on with it. Yeah, even these bottles seem to have a weapon-based idea behind it. And I get the strong inkling that this is probably part of some larger puzzle for us to solve. Still, you do want to make sure and explore all the cabinets down here, because there is an easily missed item down here. A claim ticket. Now, this isn't to claim some luggage or anything like that. Instead, if we take a closer look at it in our inventory, we'll see that it is an actuality to claim some casino chips. Assuming maybe at some point in the future we're going to have to take up some gambling. Still, our main objective right now is to figure out how to mix up a drink for our drunk friend outside. And while I don't think that painting will be of much help, there are a few others we can take a closer look at. Yeah, another snake, sword, and axe motif. And our final painting over here. Yeah, another 2 snakes, but it looks like there are a set of initials in the lower corner, and wouldn't you know it, in this painting as well, there is another set of initials. So it looks like to figure out this puzzle, we're going to have to figure out the name of the artist, and then figure out some special code that the artist might have left inside of his painting. Maybe we can find that artist's room somewhere nearby. So as we press further down the hallway, we're given another 2 set of doors here to explore. I think I'll go ahead and try out the right one first. It seems we are in a pretty spacious sleeping quarters. Sadly, the sleeping quarters are pretty uneventful. I don't think there are any items we can find, nothing under the bed. And I guess this is just going to show you that, not every possible room on this ship always has a story to tell or an item to find. Sometimes they just put in rooms to have a room there. Guess it's better than just having a broken lock on a door, but still, maybe the next room will hold something better for us. Yeah, indeed it is another sleeping quarters, but this one indeed does have something of interest. Namely, it looks like there are some tools for an artist here on the floor. We have a broken case holding what I assume to be paintbrushes and maybe some paint. And on the wall here we have an unfinished work of art on a canvas. Yeah, all signs seem to point to this room being held by a painter. Still, we don't know the painter's name, though we get a pretty easily found hint here. Scrawled on the desk is a pretty faded message. Mentions something about everyone being killed and demons. But the main point of interest here for us is the fact that it finally gives us the painter's name, Ed Mooring. So now we know the initials for the artist, and now we can figure out the special code in the painting to make our drunk friend here his final drink. Probably just take a quick look yet again to make sure that we know the recipe. So we have an axe-wielding barbarian and 2 snakes. That should be pretty easy for us to make a drink out of. And the good thing is that even though we are not certified mixologists, we don't really need to worry about exact amounts when giving a drink to the dead. It's merely just 2 parts snake. And then 1 part axe. And to top it all off, a little bit of what appears to be Franz Ferdinand. Can only imagine what this concoction tastes like, but, well, if it appeases our poor drunk friend outside, I guess it's all for the best. So bottoms up, my friend.
What is this? This color. It's the same as Ed's drink. What the hell? I can't taste a thing. I guess there is no need for a drink when you're dead. Hey, can you let Ed out? I threw away one of the medals in the ventilation shaft. The two sisters should have the other two medals.
So, by giving him that drink, we've let him realize that he is truly dead. And for our troubles, we get another astral piece along with our first sailor medallion, along with some very, very helpful information regarding some means to get his good friend Ed from out behind that bookshelf. Also, you can see a little position of the sailor on the medallion itself. Hopefully that should be some help in solving that puzzle. But before we head back there to place the medallion, I guess we could go ahead and check out these final two doors here. Already, we can see what appears to be one of the sisters that drunk mentioned. Though I do want to turn on the lights first. If only to find out that they are in an inoperable state, but well, since there is a spirit in here that we need to help, I think that means that we should be protected from the little girl ghost. Which is probably for the best, considering that it seems like neither one of the lights are working.
You are not a passenger aboard this ship. You're still alive. She is in the room on the opposite side. My twin sister, Diana. I know everything about her, because she is exactly like me. That demon, it's because of that demon that... Diana.
So Diana is in trouble. Probably means to figure out this situation we need to save her.
Everything is the same. Everything is the same between us two.
But yet another mention of that demon. The thing that Ed mentioned scrawled on his table, and also the thing that apparently drove him mad. Also, that was a bit strange. Seems like that other door opened when we opened this door.
Don't come any closer. Just turn around and leave. Go!
I mean, it doesn't seem too dangerous in here, and well, we really want to talk to her to try to figure out just how we can help her. But yeah, it looks like the lights are broken in here as well. But yeah, we can't linger in this room for too long. There's another deadly spirit waiting us in there. But we need to figure out some way to get over to Diana. And indeed, we've already gotten the pieces we need to this puzzle. And that's the fact that, well, as the sister over here mentioned, everything between these two rooms is shared. You may have noticed that pretty much the layout of the furniture, the broken lights, all that is the exact same between the two rooms, and the fact that we open the door and the other door opens is supposed to give us a hint as to the fact that, well, our interactions with this room will also cause a change in the other. So we just need to maybe use some of the pieces of furniture in here to maybe block up the doors so that that evil spirit doesn't come out and attack us. I get the feeling, though, that this chair is not going to be heavy enough to block up the door. Possibly this space heater will be a more viable option, especially considering with our slowed movement, this definitely seems to be a lot more heavier. So if we go ahead and place it in front of the door here, and as you can imagine, we can't really turn it, so it makes maneuvering it a little bit difficult. But I think that should be a pretty good barricade. Let's see if that hasn't worked out for us in the adjacent room. Okay, just gotta very carefully check. No, yeah, I think that might have worked out for us.
Thank you. You are not a passenger aboard this ship. You're still alive. You've met my older sister, Fiona, right? We are twins, that's why I know. Do you know Ed? Ed saw something. That's why he became crazy so suddenly. Please, meet Ed, the man we trapped inside that room.
So another astral piece in hand, and another medallion in our pocket. And another prodding to go see this mysterious Ed. Well, we are halfway to doing so. And now that we have freed that spirit from in here, there are a few... well, there's one more thing to get. It's not in there. Instead, it's in this other drawer, where you can find a nice curing potion. Yeah, getting a feeling that the healing items are going to be pretty few and far between throughout the course of the game, so I think it's going to be pretty important to find these when we can. But as you can probably imagine, since these rooms are mirrored, yeah, there in this nearby drawer, much like in the other room, is another curing potion. And in addition to that, we can give Fiona here the good news about her sister.
Diana left. I must go too. Oh, that blue stone. It's the same as what Kreia had. So you must have been the one Kreia was waiting for.
Kreia? That's a very familiar name. It was the name of that little girl on the train during the prologue, who's Richard's father ended up giving the stone he was holding on to. Is this the same stone that Richard's father had, or is it just something very similar? Sure, it's something we can figure out later, but for right now, Well, I might as well go ahead and check this door, though. Yeah, it is very locked. Instead, we need to go ahead and finish up the toy sailor puzzle here by getting the final medallion, which, if you recall, we were told was up in the ventilation shaft. And the more keen-eyed viewers among you might have remembered that in this lounge, there was a little air duct up here. Though it is a little bit out of our reach. Good news is that someone managed to leave behind a footstool in here. And by putting that into position, that means that we can now slowly make our way up into the air duct. As you can imagine, going through the air duct is pretty slow, so I decided to cut most of that out. Thankfully, there are no little girl ghosts, or I guess whoever that other ghost was. We don't run into them up here. But there is something odd that we can kind of see, just barely, in these vents along the ventilation shaft here. It looks like there is another ghost in a room that we have not been into yet. But I think we should be able to get into there now, as we have all 4 of the medallions. Now, thankfully, the game doesn't require you to know semaphore, even though it's, pretty easy to look up. There's no books we have to read in-game to figure it out. It's more or less something you can figure out via, just trial and error. Because it is, well, pretty obvious whenever you manage to put the right medallion into the right slot. Also, thankfully, the rest of the medallions are also in the quick inventory slot, so you don't have to go through all those sub-menus to put them in place. But yeah, whenever you put the wrong medallion in, you can tell the sailor doesn't move his arms. But with the final medallion in peace, we get access to that aforementioned door that was locked with Ed behind it. And we get to meet what I presume to be Ed Shorty Mooring.
So you actually found this room. Has Rob told you the reason why I am in here? I saw it happen in that room. I saw the birth of a demon. I lost my mind completely, and I don't remember much after that. Rob, I suppose that drunk fool died too. I want to drink with him again.
So as Ed makes his way to that great bar in the afterworld, we find out that what drove him mad was the sight of this demon being birthed. And I assume that that demon is probably still located behind that door at the far end of the hallway. Still, I'm really curious about this strange locked away room here. Seems like something had been on display here, but whatever it is, it's definitely no longer here. And as my curiosity has gotten the better of me, I think it's maybe time we take a look at this quote-unquote demon. I'm sure it really can't be that bad. Instead of a demon, though, we get greeted by the familiar visage of this little girl. Instead of just merely choking us this time around, she has fully turned on her poltergeist abilities, and without any real means to defend ourselves, let's just leave.
That girl really isn't here. I can hear her cries coming from within a deep, dark hole. She wants someone to find and free her soul. Make her realize that she shouldn't be here.
We find ourselves on another unexpected trip into the past. Someplace merely referred to as an abandoned mine. I get a feeling, though, that this is going to be our way to deal with that little girl. Though, as of right now, I just have no clear idea how, those two could possibly be connected. Still, we're going to need to find some way through that rock pile up there. And it looks like if we can set this minecart in motion, it would be a pretty good battering ram. Ah, Eureka. So yeah, we didn't get to meet the demon that we heard mentioned so many times before, but well, we did get a pretty mysterious message there regarding the fact that, as opposed to maybe the other ghosts we've been seeing so far, maybe that little girl has absolutely nothing at all to do with the Orpheus. But we are given a little bit of a split-off path here. We do want to take our first right, which we can do by changing the course of the tracks with that lever there. And as we head further and further into the mine, I'm really left to question just exactly what type of thing they were mining out down here. And I can't tell from the structure or color of the rock, but it does look like there are possibly some fossils down here. It's all really quite strange. But our journey through the mine is pretty close to an end. We do have one last little tricky puzzle here. We want to end up making the minecart there and go off to the right, because obviously this is a dead end otherwise. But we want to make sure that it doesn't end up just going back down the pathway we just came. So, yeah, I think we're going to end up having to change the track orientation at least twice, but Well, we want to make sure we do it at relatively the right time. Should be a little bit difficult considering our pretty slow turn speed. But from the sound of that crash, it does sound like I was able to do it successfully. Overall, though, it's kind of hard to tell the last time this mine was even used, or if indeed we would be able to find, I guess, what would be a little girl down here. Still, we are almost at the end of the mine. And it's at this dead end that we finally find somebody that we might be able to get some answers out of. Yeah, this miner here is nice enough to fill us in on the fact that this used to be a gold mine that was owned by the Rockwell Group. And if that name sounds familiar, it's due to the fact that that was that old man that nearly killed our dad on the train. It seems, though, that maybe the miner wasn't completely sold on the fact that the closure of the mine was due to the lack of gold, but instead due to a bizarre series of accidents that occurred that, well, seemingly led to the disappearance of his daughter. Yeah, the only clue he really has is this doll that he ended up finding down here in the mines. But as the miner comes to term with the grisly fate that his daughter succumbed to, we're going to have to leave him with his grief and take his daughter's doll with us as hopefully a means to expunge her soul from whatever horrible torture she's currently enslaved to. So let's see if we can't put Claudia's soul to rest.
My doll. Father gave this to me.
And without much fanfare, the usual astral piece were given. I think we've finally put Claudia's soul to rest. Still, I think all in all, there's some greater implications here from the mere fact that somehow or another, someone put her soul onto this ship and was using it as something of a weapon. It's probably a lot for us to ponder on, but well, it still really doesn't help us in our situation, or trying to find our father, or trying to figure out the purpose of this stone we're given. still, we can kind of consider that some type of success. I mean, it's one less enemy that we're hopefully going to have to deal with in our continued journey through the Orpheus. And we do get to finish up exploring the last few bits of this lower deck here. Also, I was pretty sure that there was something in the bathroom here, but it doesn't seem like there is anything to this sink. There's no drawers or anything on the lower section. And even if I manage to turn on the room, or turn on the lights in the room, it still doesn't make anything even more evident. So, well, it only strikes me at this point that there's a second little area to the bathroom here, and indeed, that's where the item was that I was trying to look for. Because it is another claim ticket. Still no idea of the usage for those, but, well, they are going to be pretty important for later on. But yeah, in this much larger quarters here, there is one final room. And inside this room, we find a very, very useful item in the form of what appears to be, well, looks like a dress suit. And that'll probably get us into Master William's party.